Hi, today I'd like to give an update for the third round of stimulus checks. This update is as of April 7, 2021, and I hope this information you'll find useful. Today, April 7th, was supposed to be the big date for the IRS to send out stimulus checks for those of us who hadn't received them already. If you had like a mail date of March 26th or March 31st, if you had not received your check by now, you should have received it by now. But from everything that I've read and I've seen on the internet, is that even though it says that we should receive them by April 7th, due to delays with the mail, we should give it till the middle of April before we start calling the IRS and inquiring about where our payment is at. But for now, that was the update I received as of today. For most people, the federal benefit payment will be automatic and there'll be no action needed for most. So that means like if you're on Social Security, retirement, disability, railroad retiree, veteran, you should have to take no action at all. These payments will be automatic like the economic impact checks from previous rounds. They should go right onto your card or right into your checking account. Now, some federal benefit recipients may need to file a 2020 tax return, even if you don't usually file. And if you haven't received a check by April 7th, what I would probably do is go to the Get My Payment Status on the website and then check and see if you haven't had, if there's no status update by April 7th and you normally don't file a tax return, I would probably check and see if you should file a non-filing statement in order for you to be eligible for a stimulus check. That doesn't necessarily mean that you'll get one because you might not meet the qualifications, but just in case, I would just check the website out after April 7th if you haven't received a check yet. For those of us that are receiving our checks by mail, the key thing that I have seen on the website and all through the internet and through different media outlets is that if you're receiving it by mail, to continue to check your mail daily. And if your mailman usually comes during the day, check your mail during the day. If it usually comes in the afternoon, go check it in the afternoon. Because what you don't want to happen is for your check to come and then somebody steal your mail. Because not only has everybody been made aware that the checks are coming, thieves are now also aware that the checks are coming. So what we don't want to happen is for one of us that are supposed to receive our check by mail is to have it stolen. So just keep an eye out for a check or a card. Now, make sure like you go through your junk mail also, because the last couple of rounds of the stimulus check, people were throwing them out, like their check or the card, because they didn't know that it was actually from the IRS. So just keep an eye out for that. Open up all your junk mail before you throw it out. Now, I did do searches on the IRS website, and I did find that they had a news update on March 30th. And the news update did state that the April 7th was that date that I was referring to, that it would be sent electronically for those of us that are set up electronically, and for those of us that are not set up electronically. April 7th seemed to be the date that was listed everywhere that I could read. And for some of you, you might actually call your bank and you'll find out that they have your check, but they're actually holding it. And that's because they're not going to release the funds until April 7th when they have the funds available. Because you got to remember, there's tons of people waiting for their check, and the funds just might not be available until they actually get the money from the government. So they're not releasing those funds until April 7th. So if you have direct deposit for your money and they say that the bank already has it, I wouldn't worry about it. That means you're going to get your money, and then on April 7th you should have it in your account. But if it says on the website that your payment's been mailed, then just wait a couple days. Lastly, I would like to discuss the Get My Payment tool for the IRS. If you go to that tool, you can put your social security number in, your date of birth, and your address, and then it will tell you whether or not your check has been mailed or direct deposited, and it will give you a date. And it's important to find that date out because then that way you'll know, first off, whether or not you've already, are you going to get a check or not? Because if there's no date there, then I would visit the frequently asked questions page that they have to see why you don't have a date yet. But if there is a date there and you haven't gotten your check yet by direct deposit or by mail, then you can go by the list I have below to determine whether or not it's time you do a trace to see where your payment went. And basically the rules for that is if it's 5 days since the direct deposit and you called your bank and they say they don't have it, but it would be 5 business days. If it's 4 weeks since they mailed the check, then you can start the trace, but it has to be at least 4 weeks. 6 weeks if you moved and then they had to send it to a new address, you have to wait 6 weeks. And then finally, it's 9 weeks if you have a foreign address. Now, if you do need to start a trace because you haven't received it yet and it does show that you have a date on the Get My Payment tool, then you can call the 800 number they have, which is 800-919-9835. Or you can fill out the form that I have listed below and you can mail it to them or fax it to them. Now, I hope you guys found this information useful, and hopefully all of us receive our checks before we end up getting to the point where we have to do a trace. So hopefully you find the information useful, and if you can please like and subscribe to my page. I do more than just IRS information. I also do information about student loans, and I'll also be doing a couple of presentations on how to become monetized on YouTube and different different topics that other people want to hear about. But if you can just like and subscribe, and thank you for watching. Until next time.